Hello and welcome to the latest video and podcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by David to discuss the best captaincy candidates for Game Week 27. David, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. It's kind of nice to be prepping for another deadline. I feel like we've been in Game Week 26 for my entire life. It's almost as if it's lasted 84 years. We're nearly there. Today is still just another day in Game Week 26, but as I said, the Game Week 27 deadline is just around the corner. And as much as it's frustrating for a lot of people, the Son injury gets everybody's juices flowing again. Some big breaking news. So apologies, we started a little bit later than usual. Just kind of picking up from that, had a few bits on site. So if you are reeling from that news, then we already have a little bit of content on site discussing potential replacements. And the comment section is completely full of people discussing it in more detail. So head over there if you're particularly distraught about that. Probably doesn't really affect the captaincy, but certainly brings us into this video.
It sort of did. I have got a lovely picture of Son later for a discussion, but we're using a different context now, as in he's absent. I just want to point out as well the Scoutcast tonight, Son replacements has been now added to the bill. So myself, Holly and Az will be discussing that. They, I believe, are Son non-owners and I'm a Son owner. So I've got a very tangible reason to tuck into that discussion. Options are endless. But anyway, that's for tonight. And also, as you said, go and have a look on Fantasy Football Scout because the article just published is full of repercussions around that Son injury. So after a long split winter break, we're finally back to normal, we hope. With the fixture list 2, Liverpool are home to West Ham defence. So nice fixture list, we hope, for the captaincy. Salah or Mane look the standout candidates this week, but the guy in the thumbnail, Danny Ings, might have something to say about that. But let's look at Liverpool against West Ham first off. Salah or Mane? A Liverpool asset just looks the best one, really. But I guess which one?
Oh, see, it's the age-old question. I feel like even after they've both retired for 10 years, with exceptional accolades to their names in terms of the goals scored and the things they won with the team, which I think will be a lot. I think it'll be like separating them will be very difficult. I mean, right now, obviously the dynamic has sort of changed a bit compared to the last time we were really comparing it for captaincy because of that injury that Mane had, which means that his ownership is completely tanked for Game Week 26, and then he came back and he scored. I think it was 5 or 6 points. It wasn't a hugely massive score, but you know he's back now, and I think there's obviously the opportunity for people, to be honest, who've just lost Son to go back to Mane and potentially captain him for this game, because I do think that Liverpool are going to kind of go through West Ham quite easily. West Ham, in their two most recent Premier League visits to Anfield, conceded 4 goals both times. And as much as I don't really like reading into historic results, if historic results coincide and sort of corroborate with recent stats, then I've got every reason to believe they're going to happen again. So over the last 4 matches, West Ham are in the bottom 4 for shots conceded in the box with 40. This is prior to them playing Man City, so I'm sure that will get worse as of Wednesday night. Big chances conceded, they're in the bottom 3, 14 conceded, only Newcastle and Villa have conceded more in their last 4. But West Ham are bottom of the league for XGC, and they're about to face Man City, so that's going to get worse. And of course, you know, when you go away to Anfield, that's akin to facing Man City. So I feel like whatever Man City are capable of doing to West Ham midweek, Liverpool are capable of doing exactly the same. So the fixture, I think, is very, very nice. The question, as you said there, Salah versus Mane. Well, right now, I think that question is easy to answer if you're most people, because most people don't have Mane. Because actually, Salah is racking up such a massive support for this game week, because actually the options elsewhere are quite limited. We talked about Danny Ings, and he's a nice differential option, but realistically, you're not going to really captain a Man City player away at Leicester, are you? Because Leicester are capable of getting a result against them, and of course Man City are playing midweek, and then they're playing this weekend, and then they've got the Champions League. So, you know, pinning down a starting player could be difficult. So actually, someone like myself who has Salah, no Mane, and you know, De Bruyne and Ings, Salah's really easy choice. You know, some data on him in the last 4. I mean, he obviously blanked against Norwich, which is annoying, but that wasn't for lack of trying. 4 shots in a box in that game. Slight lack of quality and accuracy, which we get from time to time from Salah away from home, but it's the lack of quality and accuracy doesn't really tend to bother him at home. But last four, he's had 15 shots in the box. That's the joint second best in the league. Three big chances, which isn't as many as we'd like. So for example, for context, Aguero's had 7, Jimenez has had 7, Calvert-Lewin's had 7, Firmino's had 6. And his shots on target is 6 as well, which is, again, is lower than all those names I just mentioned and level with Firmino. But it's West Ham. So I feel like that's the kind of game where he can sort of rectify that a little bit. And of course, let's not forget his creativity is fantastic as well. 4 big chances created in his last 4 matches. That is the joint best in the league. So for points potential as a spread, he looks fantastic. Mane, I would say, is probably slightly more likely to score than him because he usually gets the bigger chances at Anfield, but slightly less likely to assist.
Yeah.
So even if I had them both, and at the back of my mind is, of course, the massive number of people captain him this week, I'd go Salah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've got Salah. I don't have Mane. I have Firmino as well, who is a differential captaincy option. And there's also those defences as well. So Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson are also differential options there. I do think at home, I had a look at last 6 home matches they played. So this takes into account any particular injuries. So this is whether they've actually just played. And Salah is top, as you would expect, 24 goal attempts. And this is last 6 home matches, by the way, and 13 chances created. So you can see that creativity. And his minutes per goal attempt in the box, 22.5. So a shot in the box every 22.5 minutes. But a bit further behind him is Mane. So Mane has had 17 shots and created 10 chances. And he's still getting a goal attempt in the box every 32.6 minutes. In terms of expected goal involvement over those 6 home matches, I've extended it to 6. I usually like 4, but I've extended it to 6 because I think at this stage of the season we can start looking a little bit more long term, and we can look at the trends have emerged. Liverpool are great. Liverpool are particularly great at home.
Mane injury as well. You want a larger spread of
yeah,
data.
exactly, sort of, and that's why I've gone for matches and not game weeks as well. So this is actually that they played. The expected goal involvement for Salah is 5.91. So getting on for nearly 6 goals he's expected to be involved in over those 6 home matches. With Mane, it's a little lower, just under 5 there. Firmino is an option. 16 goal attempts and 9 chances. So once again, like his teammates, he's combining that creativity with the goal attempts as well. I think it's an easy choice this week because West Ham defence is that bad. So you mentioned some West Ham stats there. I looked at, so I've gone for a similar method here, 6 away matches. So I've gone for the last 6 away matches that they played, and so a little bit longer spread. So in fact, in XG conceded, Aston Villa are the worst, but West Ham are just a notch behind. So it's 11.91 to 11.83. So it's just pretty broadly similar. They're both awful in terms of defences. West Ham have conceded 9, but their XG is higher. So in a way, they've been lucky to only concede 9. They've conceded 18 big chances. Only Villa and Newcastle over their last 6 travels, 6 road trips, have conceded one more, and it's only 1 more. So yeah, as I said, it's hopefully the perfect storm. You've got a bunch of players in Salah, Mane, and Firmino with all great form, and they're against a woeful defence. No brainer, but we've been here before. And anyway, that's the on paper logical obvious captain, but this guy here, Danny Ings, he could be an intriguing differential. But what do you think about him? So he's playing Villa. So I've just listed some of those defensive stats. As bad, if not worse, than West Ham is Villa. So Danny Ings against Villa sounds enticing. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that if you're looking at Ings' captaincy, I think the first thing you've got to be looking for this week is Dean Smith's next press conference, because Tyrone Mings obviously missed the Spurs game with tonsillitis. I've never had it. None of my friends have ever had it, so I don't really know how long that necessarily is going to keep you out. I don't know. What's your experience, Joe?
I'm not a professional footballer, but it pretty much debilitated me for a couple of weeks. I found it really tricky to eat. That's one of the problems. So you can't, if you're a professional footballer, you've got this strict diet, all these kinds of things. I would say he could be back next week, but I think you're looking at around 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is there's a little bit of uncertainty in terms of how long it could be. So that's why Dean Smith's press conference is so important, because I think if Mings is revealed to be out once again, then I think then the Ings captaincy starts to really pick up a little bit more traction, because they always look a bit worse without him. Engels came in for him
Yeah.
against Spurs, and well, he didn't have the best game. He had a mixed game. He got his first ever goal for Villa. That's great, but then obviously gave away the penalty.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, while I'm actually on a video and people are watching, that there was no controversy about that. The replay clearly showed he did not get the ball.
Yeah.
So sorry, Villa fans. VAR has screwed them over at times this season, but it didn't with that one.
No.
And then, of course, absolutely dreadful attempted clearance right at the death from Engels as well, to let Son through. So, I mean, I'm not suggesting those things will happen again. I mean, he's a professional football player. I'm sure he's going to learn. But either way, the point is Mings not being there is bad for Villa defence. When you consider that their defence has been bad anyway, then when they lose their defensive leader, surely that's going to make things worse. Last 4 matches, 43 shots in the box conceded. That's the bottom 3. For the whole season, they're still bottom. No one's displaced them for that yet. Big chances conceded last 4, 17. And then the XGC is 8.54. So they should have conceded more goals, is basically what it's saying, because in the last 4 they conceded 7. Should have conceded 8.5. That's in the bottom 4 as well. So recent form, it's not great. And like I said, that's with Mings. In terms of a man who is literally one letter different, Danny Ings.
Yeah.
Obviously, I quite like him. He's been quite. He likes to shoot a lot, which is important. And he's so reliable as well. I think he's got something like 15 goals this season now, which is just completely crazy. And the other thing is that we've got an article on the site about a new stat, which is XG on target. I think I've said that properly. You have to chat to Will or Top Marks if you want a little bit more information and read the article. But basically, the suggestion is that he is the type of player that even when he has difficult chances, will do a very good job of getting them on target, and therefore almost increase the XG of the chance, because he is such a clinical player. Like I said, go and have a read of the article. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But there's lots to like about Danny Ings. But as I said, I think it just all sort of hinges on Dean Smith's latest up-down time.
I'll tell you, I've did a bit of research earlier in the week on this, and I put it out on as a tweet. So I put a tweet up, and what I did is I looked at the number of big chances, big chances that have been conceded per match with Mings, the number of big chances conceded per match without Mings. So basically, yeah, the figures are that it's pretty much they're double as bad. So they concede 2.71 big chances per match with Mings, which is quite bad, but okay. And then they concede 5.5 big chances per match without Mings. So, and I've put here, if Mings is out, captain the opponent's main attacker. I mean, that's now a rule in FPL this season, and I think we've seen it lots of times before. But yeah, Mings is out, captain Danny Ings. But if Mings looks like he's going to play, if tonsillitis has cleared up, he's obviously far fitter than I am. So yeah, I'm sure he's got a better recovery time. Yeah. That's what I think. There are other options as well this week. It's a great week for good form attackers against poor defences or defences that appear poor, or certainly relegation form. Jimenez against Norwich. What do we think about Jimenez?
Yeah, he looks. Yeah, potentially great shout. I mean, the form that he's in statistically looks very nice. In the last 4, he's had 14 shots in the box. It's only 1 fewer than Salah. He's had 7 big chances, which is more than double what Salah's had, and 6 shots on target, which is the same number. It's not a massive amount of creativity, just 3 chances created and 1 big chance created. But, really, that's not really what you're after with Jimenez. It's the goals you want. One thing that's also worth pointing out is Traore, who is still, I mean, what a tank he is. I mean, the sort of the knocks and bruises he's had, and he's still going. What a guy.
Had his arm ripped out of its socket. And it was
back in again.
Yeah, he's like the knight in the Holy Grail. It's just mere flesh wound and just carries on.
I mean, he's the biggest beast with the name Adama in his name since, Admiral Adama from Battlestar Galactica, to be honest. What a guy. Last 4 matches, 4 big chances created as well. So that's the best in the league, level with Salah. So the service that Jimenez is getting is fantastic. And then that's unlocking some really nice stats as well. I mean, the thing with Norwich is obviously the defence largely hasn't been that great this year, but I was quite impressed with how they played. against Liverpool. They really made Liverpool work quite hard for that. And the suggestion that could happen again, of course, it's away from home, so it's going to be a bit harder for them to to do as well as they did at Carrow Road. In terms of the defensive stats, like they are actually getting better as well. This is something we always have to do. Is sometimes it can be very easy to sort of get into preconceptions about teams from the first 10 games. And of course, you're absolutely right after the first 10, 15 games to say that Norwich defence is terrible. Of course, they had lots of injuries. Was a suggestion we did say that when they start to get some of these bodies back in defence, could be some improvement. And that's why it's so important to have Fantasy Football Scout membership. Nice little plug there. And make sure that you're checking every week that these teams are still a whipping boy status. And Norwich are sort of slowly coming out of that mire in terms of a team that they're not a Villa anymore, they're not a West Ham anymore. In the last 4 matches, bearing in mind this includes games against Liverpool, 33 shots conceded in the box, which is actually good enough for mid-table. It's actually fewer than Sheffield United, fewer than Burnley, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, teams that we traditionally own a defender from. Big chances conceded, just 6. Only Everton, Liverpool, Wolves and Man City have conceded fewer than that in that time. So there is improvement at Norwich. So I'd happily own Jimenez this week. Would I captain him? Perhaps not, because I do think there's this slight possibility. Big thing really, Godfrey's back, Zimmerman's back and Hanley. You've got 3 centre-backs fit. Daniel Barker said that this game week was the first time he had 3 fit centre-backs all season. So for the first time this season, he's actually got competition for places in defence, which is so important for a team trying to stay up. So, yeah, I think I'd sort of steer clear from Norwich a little bit compared to, say, a West Ham or a Villa. I'd be much happier to captain a player against.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's another one of those perfect storm for stats. But as you said, Norwich is slightly sort of more like a drizzle than a storm when it comes to Norwich's defence. But Jimenez is certainly up there. I looked at big chances last 4. He's top. Last 4 matches, this is not 4 game weeks. Last 4 matches they played. Top is Aguero on 7, and he's top jointly with Jimenez and with Calvert-Lewin as well. So just behind them is Son, poor departed for his fractured elbow, and Firmino, Ali, and Abraham are just behind there. So in terms of a form striker, you got your man there, Jimenez. But in terms of that Norwich defence, I mean, I had a look at best side. Last 4, they're amongst the best 6 sides in terms of goals conceded. So pretty good, not the best, but amongst the best. But overall this season, they've just been poorer. So it shows, they've been decimated by those injuries. All away matches, because this match is away. All away matches, they've shipped 21 goals. That's the 7th worst in the league. So overall away, they've been awful. But as you said, recently they've been starting to be a bit better. So that makes me think Jimenez, great option to own. I'm not sure he compares as favourably as Liverpool and Danny Ings this week. Now, the next picture, this is sad. I've got a picture here. It's Son. I was going to say, hey, what about Son against Chelsea? But we found out today that he, as we said at the start of the show, unfortunately, he's going to have surgery. He's going to be out for a couple of months, we think, maybe. Something like that. But do keep looking at our tweets to find out, if we can get a timeline there. But nevertheless, Spurs against Chelsea. Are any Spurs assets worth considering? Are any Chelsea assets worth considering? This is sort of, for me, it's a massive no, but let's get it out of the way. Ask you.
No, I'm with you. I think a lot of people are talking about their replacement from for Son being a Bergwijn or a Moura, but I don't really. I think what you got to think about is this: you wanted Son because he was great. Spurs without him, how can they be so good? I just don't really understand how they can be as good without him. When you look at how good he's been recently, his 16 shots in the box in his last 4 was the best in the league, or joint best with Aguero. 6 big chances was just 1 fewer than those 2 you already mentioned there, Jimenez and Aguero. And Calvert-Lewin also joined top for that as well, which I love that. And then shots on target as well, top of the league. So this is a hugely informed player coming out of that Spurs team. And you've also got to think about the fact that Kane's not there either. So who do they play as centre forward? I don't really think Moore is cut out to do it. He's occasionally had a few spells where he's been all right, but I think it's quite obvious from what we saw in the last few months that it's not really cut out to do it. I mean, I suppose it does make him more likely to start now, which I guess is nice. Some people talk about Bergwijn, but obviously I we don't know too much about him in a Spurs context. We know what he's capable of outside of the Premier League. If he was to just get dropped into some kind of false nine role or some kind of inside forward, we just the whole point is we don't know. And me and you, Joe, are very safe managers. We don't like what we don't know. But what we do know is Son's amazing and Spurs without him can't be as good. So I'm not going to look at a Spurs player for this game. And then just in sort of answer to the question, if they're playing Chelsea, would I look at anyone in this game? Again, the answer is no. Chelsea now decimated by injuries, it would seem. Abraham is sort of touch and go. Pulisic's out. Hudson-Odoi's out. Loftus-Cheek's still out. Kante's now out. And just the United game on Monday night is just another classic example of the fact that Chelsea are quite good at creating chances, quite good at shooting, but their quality and their accuracy is just rubbish. And they're a team right now that plays well and doesn't get results. And you never want to really go near that from an FPL perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Dele Alli he constantly appeals to me every season. We've spoken about the super sexy Ali switch on his back that as soon as Kane is out, it appears. We've sort of seen a bit of that. He's been okay for attacking returns, but Son has been the main man. But without Son and Kane, I'm not sure who's going to play off. But it is possible we could see Ali as that false nine. It's possible
that's true,
with Bergwijn and Moura sort of flanking him there. It's possible. We don't know, but that's it. So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Moura would be perhaps a logical replacement as a 9, but is he really? I mean, yeah, it's difficult. But in terms of stats, Dele Alli has, he's doing okay. In terms of big chances, total big chances over the last 4 matches is 6, which is the same as Son. But he falls down a bit when it comes to shots on target, just 2, Son 11. So you can see the difference there. I think if you want to, I just think this is a bad week to take a risk because you've got the likes of Liverpool, you've got Danny Ings as well. So I just think it's not perhaps the week, but I think Ali could be a Son replacement for some thinking about it. Let's look at the rest. Just finish off. Look at the rest of game week 27 with the fixtures. Not really good for the captaincy. What about? Leicester, Man City have got captaincy options in general, but this just doesn't look like the matchup to pick an armband D there. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, that fixture is too tough to call. Really, I can't tell you what I couldn't sort of tell you how I think the game's going to go. I don't know who's going to play from a Man City perspective, so I don't really feel like there's. Really, we're recording this before the West Ham game. Some people might be listening to it after that. But I'd suggest we know more then. Perhaps maybe who misses out on the West Ham game, although it's Pep, so who knows? But for me, that's the point. Who knows? And then Leicester, I think Harvey Barnes is really exciting me. I'm thinking about bringing him in at some point for that game week 28 game against Norwich, as I've already mentioned, Norwich improving. But Vardy, I think he's not even on goals imminent right now. So it's like he's not scoring, he's not even shooting, so I wouldn't go near him. To be honest, if we're looking at barrel scraping time, and I think that's an offensive term for the person I'm going to mention, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Who I don't think is anywhere near the bottom of the barrel. I think he's a lot higher. I know Everton are away at Arsenal, and Arsenal have made some improvements at the back recently, but Calvert-Lewin's stats continue to be fantastic as pretty much the second Ancelotti turned up, and we clocked onto it 2 or 3 matches in, that he has turned into an absolute shot machine. The quality is there. The accuracy, not so much, but, he's still young, so he's not going to be accurate all the time. His stats, like I said, are still good. So 13 shots in the box last 4. That's inside the top 5. 7 big chances, as we've already mentioned a couple of times. He's top of the league, jointly with Jimenez and Aguero for that stat. 5 shots on target. So he's about 50% accuracy in terms of his shots in the box. So that's really the kind of caveat with him. But I think he's a great option right now. The price that he is as well. If we're looking for some left field options right near the end, then Calvert-Lewin would be the one I'd like to.
There are, and also I think with Arsenal as well, there's some potential armbandies there. I mean, Aubameyang is, as you said before, he's the poster boy that those that like a maverick captaincy pick. But I'm not sure with Arsenal which Arsenal are going to turn up. They seem better defensively. Their attack, they certainly turned it on the last match. But then we've seen them struggle to score against Burnley, for example. Pepe has been wonderful one week, and he's been sort of half good the others. It's just the end product hasn't been there. Will Lacazette start? Will Lacazette just come on and score a brace? We don't know. And that makes them tricky. So you've got to be a proper maverick to captain an Arsenal player, but there are options there. Last 4 matches, Aubameyang has got 9 goal attempts, and 8 of those are inside the box, so very, very accurate. But Pepe has been chugging along, 7 chances created and 7 goal attempts, so nice mixture of attacking stats there. And Lacazette is just not getting the minutes really, but last 4 matches, 4 goal attempts, so it's not much. Not much.
I don't really think we even know who the first choice is. No. I don't think either us or Arteta knows who the first choice is at Arsenal right now, because we thought Martinelli had maybe taken it. He was then benched for the Newcastle game, and Nketiah came in, and Nketiah did all right, and then Lacazette came on and got a goal and assist. So, I mean, who knows? Who's playing up front for them? Got no clue. All we do know is that Aubameyang's going to be on the left.
Yeah,
it's also worth pointing out, Aubameyang could even be a midfielder next season, the amount that he's been playing on the wing.
Really?
If you think about some of the stipulations that have been put on players moving from midfield to forward and vice versa in previous years, Aubameyang is just so nailed on in that attacking midfield slot that, I don't know, maybe next year, if fingers crossed, he's a midfielder, imagine. That could be incredible.
If Aubameyang's a midfielder, then I will welcome him with open arms into my side. But at the moment, currently as a striker, I prefer the likes of Danny Ings and obviously Calvert-Lewin there. We mentioned Jimenez. I mean, there's acres of cheap strikers out there. So, yeah, why pay for all that money for Aubameyang? Meanwhile,
exactly.
We've mentioned some of the articles that are on the site. The Scoutcast tonight, so if you want Son options, if you are a member, do go and have a look at that. If you're not a member, do have a look at the membership options we have. They can do it every month or for the rest of the season. And there's lots and lots of tables and the season ticker and lots of other gadgets there. And you mentioned some new stats have been added as well for those that want to find a Son replacement or indeed just a great player for the next few weeks, particularly with the armband. David, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck with your captaincy decisions, Gameweek 27.
Cheers, Joe, and the same to you.